So let's just move on. Quick little disclaimer here. I'm sure everybody has seen this a million times. Everything we do here is for educational purposes only. We're not investment advisors, do not provide investment advice. All statements made here today are the personal opinion of the presenter, that would be me, and all trading and investment decisions are done at your own risk. I think everybody knows who I am. I'm Kevin D in the Discord. There you go. You can take a look at that if you want to. Let's move on past that. Right, so, sorry? Not sure who's trying to talk to me. Anyway. So when you're putting your tickers into the chat, which you can do in a couple minutes, although I've got a couple first. Somebody emailed or DM'd me a couple of tickers. So I want to do those first before, so I don't forget them. We'll go through those quick. And one of these is going to be one that Mark wants to anyway. I'm just going to mute you there, Kems. You can unmute later if you want to ask a question. Actually, I'm going to mute Mark too. Cool. All right. Yeah, when you're letting me know what tickers you want, you can unmute and we can talk about it. That'd be cool. If not, you can just type them into the chat and maybe tell me a little bit about why you want to take a look at that ticker. Maybe you already own it, or you're thinking about buying it, or adding to it, or selling it, or whatever. Helpful for me to know, kind of where you're at with it. And yeah, along the way, if you have any questions, feel free to interrupt. You can either, just unmute and talk to me, or type them in the chat. So I wanted to start with one that I've been looking at, and I was actually going to do a video on this one yesterday, and I kind of wish I had, because it broke out today. I just ran out of time, and I didn't have time for it this morning because I was way too focused on Twitter. So this is not Target. Here we go. Here's Target, and this is a weekly chart of Target. So you can see that, it's been an uptrend, pretty decent uptrend, even accelerating, since kind of 2017, and sort of started to consolidate, within about the last year. But one of the things I wanted to show you, you've probably actually never seen me use MACD on my charts. I'm not a huge fan of it, especially on the daily time frame. I find it way too noisy. But sometimes you come across a stock where the MACD is really well behaved. And Target is one of those. And so it can really help you sort of, determine the trend, and can also be used as a signal even to get in and out. Welcome, Banknote. I was just about to talk about MACD, and I know that you and I have talked about it before, and you're probably surprised to see me talking about it, because I don't normally use it. And I was just saying, I do use it occasionally on the weekly time frame, because some stocks are really well behaved with their MACD, and Target is one of those. So I just kind of wanted to point that out and maybe use this as a quick little learning session here. So if we look down on the bottom pane along here, this is the MACD. It's the standard out of the box settings. It's what is it, the 1226.9 for the settings, and basically what you do if you're trading a MACD system, basically what you do when the signal line, which is this blue line, crosses above the orange line, you buy the stock. Now some people want that to be above the 0 line as well. Some people don't, right? I mean, that's kind of a personal preference thing. But basically, I have marked. I've marked up on these purple lines all of the major crosses with the MACD. So you can see there was one here, and this would have been a sell cross. It told you to sell here. And then a little later on, it crossed back up, and it told you to buy here. Okay, so that would have been good. If you had shorted and then bought it back here, that would have worked out for you. If you got long here and then sold here, it would have saved you from all this drawdown. You would have got long again right here, had a little bit of sideways action, so you would have had to be patient. But then you got into this really nice uptrend. If you look down in here, it looks like these are whipsaws, like you're going in and out, but it actually never crossed below. It came very close to it, but never actually crossed below. If you look at the numbers, which you can see over here, you can see that, the signal line, or sorry, the MACD line stayed above the signal line the whole time. So you stayed in, it got you out right about here. So, removed you from a little bit of pain, but in the end, that didn't work out because you ended up actually buying in at a higher price, which is fine because it continued on its way up. So long story short, MACD in this is working well. So I noticed the other day that we had another crossover and we had come way down on the MACD and then started to turn up. And we had another crossover last week. This would have been last Friday. And you can see on the weekly, I'll just zoom in a little more here. You can see on the weekly, a nice big candle here, and it was telling you to buy. And also at the same time, it had broken this downtrend here. So let's move over to a daily now on this, and we can see how that might have set up and maybe how you could have improved your entry a little bit. You can see that we've had this consolidation in here for a couple of months, and as or really, a month and a bit. And it broke out of that, right? And then after it broke out of this consolidation, this base, it kind of started building another base or a flag on top of that base. And I love the base on base. I love when there's sort of, you've got a base, you get a breakout, and then you get another breakout pattern, just above that, or another base just above that. And you can see today that we broke out of that flag. So I was looking at this yesterday, and I was thinking about doing this video on it, and just never, just didn't have the time, which is unfortunate because this would have been a really nice entry today. So we're a little bit late, right? However, if we look at our target and we look at the way everything was kind of lining up with the MACD, now it's going to look different. The MACD, this is the MACD on the daily now, right? So it's going to look a little different, but you can see we did have another cross recently just down in here. Anyway. We've got this bull flag now. We've just broken out of it. And that's targeting in this 263 area, which is right up near all-time highs. So even though we're late, we're still only down at 236. So 236 to 263 is, it's pretty decent, right? What is that? Close to 15% maybe? Or maybe not quite 15%. Anyway, more than 10. So, maybe there's still time here. What would be ideal if this kind of just, maybe on Monday pulled back a little bit and then went, maybe red to green again, and then you could buy the breakout above today's candle. So if you had seen this before, you would have bought the breakout probably above yesterday's candle. You would have bought that today. You would have had a stop probably below the low of the whole pattern. But by the end of the day, you can probably be moving that stop up to just below the low of today's candle, right? So you've already, if you do that, you've taken a lot of risk off the table here. So for Monday or early next week, let's see if we get a little bit of pullback here. If it comes right back to the flag line and then turns back up, that's beautiful. I'll buy that all day long. I missed this today. I should have set an alert. I missed it because I was staring at Twitter all day. So anyway, I just wanted to show you guys this. I thought it was a really nice setup, a convergence of multiple time frames, right? We have we have this new trend developing, as shown by the MACD on the weekly time frame, and then this really nice entry setup on the daily time frame. So that's the one I wanted to take a look at and show you guys. Now, Ken JL, who is normally with us here, said he can't be with us today, so he DM'd me a couple of tickers. One of them is Palantir, and I know Mark and probably there must be somebody else in here who owns Palantir as well. But Mark will definitely enjoy seeing this one, or maybe not. Maybe it triggers him. So let's update this trend line, this downtrend line here. Actually, let's tighten that up to there, I think. Yeah, okay, that looks better. All right. One more little tweak on that guy. That's it. Okay. So you can see that recently Palantir has broken the downtrend line, made a nice move up. Well, even before it broke the downtrend line, it made a higher low here, right? Broke that downtrend line and then made a higher high. And this higher high absolutely confirms this lower low. Now we've pulled back down and we're consolidating. Some people might call this a bear flag. I don't know. I don't think so. I want to draw a support line in here, right in this area. This is a pretty important area right here, isn't it? You can see that, you know, on this massive move down that it had, it came down through this line and then went right back up, came down through again. I mean, this is, you know, we've had some good support in this area. When it did finally break through, it turned into resistance, right? And we like to see that polarity, right? Where, you know, form of support becomes resistance, you break through, and then it becomes support again. This is very bullish action here. This is great. You know, if I were a betting man, if I were gonna, I'm not gonna play this one because, well, for obvious reasons. Anybody who's heard me talk about Palantir before. But I would hazard a guess to say that this is going to break to the upside of this consolidation. Now, it's going to need the market to cooperate a bit. You can see it is a bit of a market stock. You know, today it was down with the market. Yesterday it was up with the market. I think the day before yesterday, the market was down, right? It was down. So definitely a bit of a market stock. It's going to need some help from the market, but we've got this nice support line here, and it's holding so far and looks like it's going to continue to support. I'm going to turn back to the RSI. Don't really see anything of note on the RSI. You can see here we've got a nice couple of highs in RSI here, and the RSI is making higher highs as this is making higher highs, and the RSI here is a lot higher than it was back here. So this is the kind of action we want to see out of our RSI. There's no divergences going on here. So you know, I think this can continue higher. We've got this declining 100-day moving average overhead, which is going to be in the area of this here, and we should probably mark this in as a resistance zone. That's something we're going to want to watch for on the way back up. That could be a problem as this comes back up. So we'll have to watch out for that. But you know, maybe Palantir is finally making a bottom here. And ready to make the big turn. And just for fun, let's see what that weekly MACD looks like. We don't have a lot of history, on the MACD on this one. But you can see here, you know, this weekly MACD did make the turn. This blue MACD line needs to continue on its way up. It's still well below the zero line there, but you know, this is something for the bulls and anybody who's holding this long term to you know, to hang their hat on or to hang some hopes on, you know, because this may be signaling a change in trend as well. Certainly the price action is signaling a change in trend. So yeah, if you're diamond handing this, I think things will get a little easier for you going forward. Hopefully that's helpful. And the other one for JL was Tattooed Chef. Anybody else in here own Tattooed Chef? Anybody who's watching live? All right, we haven't looked at this in a while, eh? Okay. Oh yeah, we had that giant pennant that it broke down out of. And then it's, you know, coming into that $10 area where, you know, is like do or die for SPACs, right? So let's mark in the, let's mark in that support. It's in around that, you know, just above $10. Nice little double bottom there on the weekly. So it's, you know, it's good that held. Don't really see much going on. Trying to cross over on the MACD, but other than that, don't really see much going on the weekly. So go back to the daily. And, you know, we've ugly downtrend, but we have this double bottom. Oh, it's got to, you know, it's really got to hold, right? It came down, tested it today, and it bounced a little bit, so that's good. Don't really see anything of note. There's a slight divergence in the RSI, but yeah, I wouldn't even bother thinking about that one. You know, in this downtrend, we should probably get a downtrend line in here. I think I want to kind of start that there, something like that. So you know, we came down, we made this low, we went up, we tried to make a higher high here, couldn't. And I've come down, and we've come down to this low again. It looks like we've really developed a range. And maybe it needs to be in this range for a while. I think a lot of these stocks just need to chill out in a range for a number of months before they go anywhere. And I think that's what's going on with Tattooed Chef. And we might have another kind of little bit of a minor resistance overhead here. But you know, I'd say if you're above $10, you're okay if you're trying to diamond hand this. Below $10, I think, you know, like a lot of SPACs, when they break below $10, it's just not pretty. They do tend to fall apart once they break below that $10 level. So I think that's all I've got for you. You know, if you really like this company, you can be patient about $10, but I think it's going to be a while before it breaks this 13 level. It could be many months, and that would actually be healthy. It probably just needs to go sideways for quite a while and work some of the bad stuff that's happened off. Okay, that's it for Tattooed Chef. I see James has put in FCX, Freeport McMoran, and GILD. So let's start with Freeport. Okay, so nice uptrend here on the daily. May have started to accelerate a little bit here. I think I will put in another uptrend line. Kind of it'll be the sort of first line. Whoops, that's not what I wanted to do. Be the first line of defense on this one. Here, actually, right about there. Yeah, it seems to be a half decent fit. All right, so it's going up quite nicely. Nothing bearish here at all. Probably put in line. No, it doesn't work at all, does it? Might be wedging a little bit. Yeah, kind of got a bit of a wedge here, don't we? So when we see a wedge like this, when it's, you know, a rising wedge, we do expect that to break out the bottom of the wedge. You know, this thing is looking pretty strong. Tiny bit of a RSI divergence here. I think we see that in a lot of commodity-related stocks. For anybody who doesn't know, Freeport McMoran is a huge copper miner, and copper has done really well. We should probably look at the chart of copper while we're at it. You can see the copper keeps coming into this resistance. Let's back up some more, because, you know, copper had a really nice run here from, you know, off the COVID lows, had a beautiful run up, and it's really been consolidating sideways. However, you know, look at this series of higher lows in here, right? Keeps butting its head up into resistance, but it keeps, you know, buyers keep moving up. Buyers are more and more willing to pay higher and higher prices, right? Eventually, this is going to break through. It's unfortunate when it broke through back in, when was this? March, that it pulled back in quite quickly. But it's recovered from that quite nicely as well, and is consolidating quite tightly under here. We have this ugly red day, came right down to the 50-day moving average and then bounced again. So I'm still pretty bullish on copper, which, you know, has to make you bullish on Freeport. So if we, you know, getting a little more granular on Freeport here, we should probably draw in some resistance overhead. You know, basically all-time highs here, right? We've got, you know, resistance there. When it couldn't break through on that second try, right, it pulled back pretty hard, but it found some support. So this is kind of a key area right here, right? So maybe, you know, if copper can't break out soon, maybe Freeport's going to consolidate, you know, sideways in this zone. If it breaks down out of this wedge and through the support area here, we've got that 50-day moving average below. We've got You know, this support resistance from the past right above us here, and then we've got this trend line, we've got the 100-day moving average. There's a whole pile of support below this. So I think on any breaks, I think, you know, you got to be looking at these supports as areas, you know, that will potentially bounce, and they could be areas maybe you want to add some more in. If you're already in it, or if you're not in it, those areas could be areas you get in. Another way to play this would be wait for it to break out. You know, buy it on the breakout above this level here, which is about 52. So hopefully that's helpful, James. You know, I'm still pretty bullish on this one, and I don't think, you know, I don't think there's any reason not to be bullish. So let's look at Gilead. Okay, so what have we got going on in Gilead? Let's take a longer term view on this one. Oh, it's ugly. That's why I bought puts. Yeah, I should have mentioned I have a position in Freeport. I have a position in Gilead. And you can probably tell from when I was talking about Freeport, I'm bullish on Freeport and I'm bearish on Gilead. You know, this had a really long-term uptrend, and just into a you know, it consolidated, broke out of that consolidation. You know, this was ages ago. And remember, we're looking at a weekly here, right? It broke out of that, and now it's pulled back. And when was this? When was this high? This is back in 2015, and then it pulled back, and it's just been going sideways since that pullback in 2017. Sideways, sideways, sideways. You know, huge base, but you can see it's trying to break out the bottom of that base, right? It's almost sort of a declining channel here. So let's draw that in. Kind of something like that. I know I've let price cut through this a little bit, but I think this sort of captures most of the price action, and it also looks like it sort of matches what's going on in the underside of this. So I'm just going to duplicate that and move it down to here, and you can see, yeah, see how that kind of fits really well with the bottom of this. So we've got a pretty decent channel here. Interesting that on this latest move down, it didn't come down to the bottom of the channel. It didn't even actually get down to that low right there. So I want to mark that in as a pivot, so we can, that'll show up for us on the daily chart. Where are my pivots? Whoops. That one right there. Yeah, I want to see that level. All right, let's move back over to the daily. And you can see there's that pivot level right there from that previous low. We came down near it, but didn't quite reach it, and bounced and moved up, made a bit of a higher high here, you know, higher than this high. So yeah, this is for the shorts, this is do or die, because, you know, this is a bit of a bull flag going on here, right? You can see where I've got an alert set. I've already taken half. I've got puts on this. I've already taken half off with a double, so I'm not terribly concerned about my position. But I've set an alert here, and I'll stop out at about this level. Like, you know, if this bull flag, if this bull flag breaks out, I'll stop out there. So let's get that flag drawn in too, because we want to make sure that we sort of watch out for that and pay attention to this flag. Because this could be early warning. This could be early warning for me too if it breaks out the top of this. I may just get out a little earlier than this stop right here. But you know, for us being bearish, we want to see this roll over and out the bottom of this flag, and that'd be great. I think if it does that, it comes down and tests this low again and then goes lower. I'm not terribly bullish on this stock, although it is showing us some bullish action. It's showing us bottoming patterns like we've seen on other stocks. So I'm definitely perhaps a little biased, maybe too biased to the short side on this one. Yeah, I think very soon we're going to see which way this is going to go, whether that's up or down. All right. I think that's, anybody else got any tickers they want to take a look at? Go ahead and throw them in the chat or unmute yourself, and you can tell me what you're looking at.
Hey, Kevin, can you hear me?
I can, yeah.
Hey, it's Marvin. Sorry for being a little late. I've been trying to chart out NVAX, and so I could use a little bit of your expertise on that.
Okay.
In terms of seeing whether or not it's going to continue to kind of dive, or if it's trying to make a creep back up.
Okay. All right. Let's see what we've got here. So, yeah, let's go back to it. Let's go to a weekly on this. This is a biotech, eh? All right. We're going to bring up the biotech sector. I'm just making some quick notes so that I can put chapters into the recording. So I don't want to forget all the tickers that we've done so far. GILD. Let's get yours down. NVAX. We're going to look at PLBY in a minute. And Zim, the shipper. All right. So, Novavax. Yeah, this is a COVID vaccine company. Aren't they partnered with somebody for COVID vaccine?
Yeah, they are.
Pfizer, I think, maybe.
Yeah, I can't remember. I got to go back and look.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. We can analyze this on its own. But yeah, obviously you had that, well, everything else was falling apart during COVID. This one was going up, right?
Right.
So now, it's, on a weekly, it certainly looks to be rolling over. Maybe getting ready to turn back up. All right, let's get some levels off of this. And then we'll go back to the daily. So we had, in this zone right about here, from back here, we had, this area's resistance around $50. That makes sense. $50 was resistance. Back over here, this area acted as resistance, although it did step up just about 50 a little bit, right? Right. And that sort of fits better with what's going on right now. So we'll just move that line up to about 55. This area here at 85, that was fairly important in the past as well. So let's get that in. And another level over here. Okay, so that's enough. It's enough of those off of the weekly. Let's move to the daily. And, so we've been moving down. It's like we had to, we dropped, really steeply here, right? And then now we're still dropping, but it's not as steep, and it's kind of making a bit of a channel. This, however, right here, are you seeing what I'm seeing right here, Martin?
Yes.
A bear flag, right?
Right.
Okay, good. So normally we expect to see that break down, and considering that all this moving down, and again, if this does break down, anybody who's gotten bullish, in here is going to bail on this immediately, right?
Right.
So we might want to put in a target to the downside on that. Draw in that bear flag. Yeah, kind of sort of like that. So that's going to give us a target. It's not too far down, but I'm not seeing any support down below there. So that target's about 43. That's a fairly big move from 58, I guess. Mm-hmm. So that's something you got to watch out for on the downside.
Okay.
If this breaks to the upside, you got a bunch of resistance overhead, right?
Right.
There's another kind of really minor level in around here. I wouldn't pay a ton of attention to it, but it does show you an area where it's put a lot of time in, and that area is likely to act as resistance. You've also got the 21-day moving average, just below that area. You've got the 50-day moving average right in the middle of it. So, like a lot of stocks we're seeing, they're really needing to build bases before they can move back up again. And this one more than most.
Mhm.
You know, it looked like it was trying to build a base, and that base kind of fell apart, you know, when it broke down here. So now, you know, maybe is it going to have to build another base? Maybe it builds a base with, you know, the low of this flag and either this resistance or this resistance, and does that for a few months. But it's biotech, and kind of, you know, it's hard doing TA on biotech because they can come out with a piece of news that just throws everything out of whack, right?
Right.
You know, the fundamentals completely take over, you know, from the technicals. If they have, you know, if they develop some new vaccine, for instance, or something like that.
Yeah, the same way yesterday, which is why I was thinking I was trying. It's kind of hard for me. I think yesterday because I was trying to make heads or tails of it. I think even yesterday they put out some news in terms of like the vaccine being their COVID-19 vaccine being used, I think in Switzerland or something to that effect, and so it also helped with the rally, right?
Right.
To push it back up. But then I'm like, okay, but how, like, you know, that's you zooming out like that was very helpful because I'm just kind of like, you know, is that a rally to enough to establish it as it's been hovering to shoot back up, or is it really just kind of like, oh well, this happened, but actually no, I think it's, you know, it's still going to turn and keep going down until it finds another level of like true support somewhere. So yeah, but you're right though. Like biotech is one of those things. Like, you know, one good piece of news will either make and or break.
Exactly. You know, and when we look at a daily, we actually, I should have marked this in. We've got a big gap down here.
Yeah.
So if this does break down, you'll definitely want to. Oh, why did that? There we go. You definitely want to watch out for this.
Gotcha.
You know, and this gap could act as support. And look here, this is interesting too, right? You can see. I'll zoom in on that a little more. You can see that, you know, when it gapped up, it pulled back, and then it did develop a support zone right in here. So we should mark that one in as well. And I'm pretty sure that when we do that, we're going to find that that hits the target of that bear flag.
Yep. Wow.
Let's see. Look at like perfectly. Almost to the penny, right?
Right.
It's funny how TA works like that sometimes. So now, I mean, it's sort of like, this is almost too good to be true on this, you know, this bear flag breaking down and hitting that target, right?
Right. No, thank you. That was helpful. This has been like super helpful. So yeah, that's good to see. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. All right. Where are we? So that was NVAX. PLBY. Oh, PLBY. Who's asking for PLBY? Oh, Cams. Yeah, we were chatting in the Discord. Okay. So we need to. Well, let's get rid of that because that's no longer valid. All right. So yeah, PLBY, Kems, I'm not sure if you were here when we were talking about there was another SPAC we were talking about and talking about the $10 level on that. You know, really important that these things hold that $10 level, and that's pretty much right about there. This one, the level is pennies above $10. This could become an important level. Actually, became an important level today. This low right here. So let's get that marked in. On my, I have a special layout I use for doing the ticker talk. But yeah, that's where I have a level on my own charts, is right here. Coming off of this, you can see this support back in the past, and we came right to it today. So I know you're reading that channel, the PLBY channel. So recently you probably heard me talking about capitulation, that I want to see capitulation in this to shake out weak hands. I think that's what this needs. So, it hasn't really happened yet. And what that could look like is kind of a big red candle like we saw today, or a couple of big red candles like we saw back over here. Maybe this is the first candle of the capitulation that we need to see. And we need to see good volume on it. And we can see that we've got sort of slightly increasing volume over the last little bit. We need to see a candle with huge volume, maybe come down to 10 or perhaps even lower. But 10, I think, is pretty much the all-time low on this, right? Yeah, 987 or whatever, yeah. So this may need to come down, freak people out, and it could very well do this on Monday. Come down here, start selling, really accelerate through the day, get down through 10, right? And then move back up. And maybe it does that in the same day. So, maybe you get a candle that looks like, if I could draw this, let's see. So you get, sort of like this, get another line in there. So this would be the body of the candle, right? You get like a red candle and you get like a tail on it, but it bounces back up and it closes somewhere ideally above 10. And then the following day, you get to move up and you go right through resistance here. And this is a nice big green candle here the following day. So, remember, this is one day. This is one big, ugly red candle with big volume. So that volume on that would look something like that. If it did that, I would add to my position. I'd probably add quite a bit. Because that's capitulation. That is like everybody giving up on it. I can't take this pain anymore. Get me out of this thing. And you get rid of all those weak hands. And it shows up on a lot of people's charts when it does this. Traders get involved. They start buying it up because they realize it's capitulation. And it just sort of feeds on itself then. And you can start moving this stock back up. But when this goes back up, it probably hits some resistance here at around 1350, right? I mean, maybe it hits resistance here at the top of this bear flag. And this is what this is basically. What's going on, this little consolidation here really is kind of a bear flag. We should measure where that targets to. So let's get that drawn in there too. It's kind of something like this. It sort of broke out of the bottom of the bear flag today, but I think it's kind of almost an unconvincing bear flag because it found support right where it should, right? And it's going to be something like that. Oops. So let's duplicate that guy. And so the breakout of the bear flag takes us down to around $9. That's actually that's a nice round number. So that's an area we can expect to find some support. I could definitely see buyers coming in at 9. So let's just draw that as a little target on that bear flag. Okay. So on the way back up, because I am convinced this is going back up, once all this falls apart and scares everybody, including myself. But I'll get really scared if it doesn't have a bounce. If it goes, if it comes down and closes down here below 9, and then it starts going down, and then it's down to 750 the next day, then I'll get scared. But I still won't sell. But by then I'll just be a bag holder, and because I do like this company. I think this company has a good future. Their plans are really good. Part of it, a big part of this company is royalty that can, that's high margin stuff. Anyway, I'm not going to get into the fundamentals. Nick has talked about that a number of times. You can go look for some of his videos on it. But the technicals here, I think we're really setting up for some important stuff. So that's why I'm spending a lot of time on this one. So on the way back up, we got to watch out for resistance at the top of this flag. But I think that'll be fairly minor. More important resistance or a little stiffer resistance to get through is going to be this 1350 area. Don't be afraid if it doesn't get in there and it pulls back. and consolidates in here for a little bit. A lot of these stocks, right now need to build bottoms. We're pretty much in a bear market, right? I mean, for small caps and everything, we are absolutely in a bear market, and we just need to bide our time and wait for the whole market to settle down and for people to, get excited about things again before we can start going up and making new highs. So that's what we got to watch out for on Playboy. We just got to try really hard not to get scared out of this thing, because it is going to fall apart. It is going to. Sorry? Nope, somebody said something. Okay. So that's Playboy. So someone, I can't read that. Looks like Chinese, maybe Japanese. I'm not sure. Anyway, has asked for MQ for Mark. Okay. MQ. I'm gonna mute somebody here. There we go. All right. We're gonna do MQ first, and then we will look at Zim. All right. Mark, what's MQ? I'm not familiar with this one. Marquetta. What are these guys? The Infotech, data processing and outsourced services. Well, that doesn't tell us much, does it? Okay, well, this has IPO'd way up here back in June of 2021. And kind of went sideways down-ish, tried to rally, and has just had this nasty downtrend since, when was that? October of last year. Looks like it's found a bottom and is building a base. So let's draw this base in. I'm going to make this base huge. It's almost like kind of two bases here. One that it fell out of. Let's bring that up. There we go. Yeah, so it was trying to build a base. It fell out of it. It went up. It fell out of it again. Went back in. Fell out of it again. So we've got a nice double bottom here, and it's come back into the base. And so far, it seems to be holding in the base quite nicely. The moving averages, we still got this 100-day moving average overhead, and you can see the 200-day moving average finally started to be able to draw. So that's way overhead, up and around 20. We got a lot of work to do before we get back up into 20. But this looks pretty healthy. Double bottom, now building a base. Just for fun, we should get that double bottom drawn in anyway. Right about here. Where's that? Like 830. And on the way back up, we're going to have some minor resistance here and probably here. And then we get into some more important levels up in this area, up in 2380. Okay, so on the way back up, you want to watch for 16, 20, 24-ish. If this breaks to the downside, obviously you want to see this support hold at, where was it, 850, or even maybe this level right here at, just under 9. Almost put a pivot right there. Yeah, I'm going to throw that in just in case this does break down, because that could come into play in around $9. It's a pivot off of these three candles right here. You see that? See how we had the wick lows, and then we had the low of the body, and when it broke down below those two, it came down and went back up into it, and it actually went higher that day. So it opened at the low of these two candles, went down, and then went back up. So that's an important level there, that 915. So if this should happen to break out the bottom of this base, watch that 915 level for a bounce. So what do we need to do here? I think, either the base continues. This almost looks ready to break out. If you could see a little bit of consolidation, draw that. If you could see a few days to a week of consolidation up in this area, kind of like that, and then break out, I think you got a clear run at least 16 from a breakout like that, from that kind of price action. And after that, it probably needs to take a break. I think that's all I got for you on this one, Mark. Unless you have any questions for me. All right, what's next? Next we have Zim. Okay. So we must have been looking at this recently. I see that it's broken down below a support level that I drew in. It is finding support right at the 200-day moving average. Let's just back up a little bit of this. Oops. Make sure that, yeah, okay. It did break this trend line. Let's draw that. So that's a little bit sketchy. That trend line from those, and it was supporting there, and then it broke down. But this is still holding here. So this is interesting. This is making a lot of these little consolidations. I think that's, yeah. These little tiny bases are just little sort of rectangles, but then it's broken down below them, right? And this, this is a fairly steep downtrend that's quite intact. So let's get a trend line drawn there, because that's going to be your, that's going to be kind of your first resistance, is getting back through that trend line, and then getting back through this other trend line here, and then this resistance. Let's see really much is we might get some support in around 50. Let's get that one drawn in too, because this does kind of look like it might be on its way to 50. There, 52. Yeah, something like that. In this 52 to 50 area, you might find some support if this breaks down. But right now, this one is stepping down. I saw something today. I think somebody posted in the Discord. It might have been in the stock market talk channel, about shipping rates and how shipping rates are declining. Was it this Discord or another one? Anyway, take a look for that in our Discord and see if you can find that post on the shipping rates declining, because that sort of mirrors what's going on in Zim here. So it may have had its day, or maybe it needs to settle into this range, before we can have another turn up. But yeah, I think the shipping has kind of been a play that worked. And things seem to be chilling out. The whole shipping sector seems to be, if you look at, for instance, if you look at UPS, UPS probably looks a little similar to this. See, we got this move down. We had a nice kind of upward channel here, and then it's recently started falling apart. I'm trying to think of any of the other actual ship companies that we could maybe look at.
FedEx, maybe? FDX?
Yeah, FedEx. But see, Zim is actual cargo ships.
Oh, got you. Okay.
But yeah, FedEx is going to look like UPS, which also looks a little bit like Zim, right? Although FedEx is the worst of the bunch here. Yeah, sorry, I can't remember off the top of my head. I can't remember some of the other shipping names. They were going crazy when oil was going crazy back in early COVID. There was some weird stuff going on in them as well then. But yeah, back to Zim. Yeah, unless the fundamentals on this company are awesome, I think this stock has kind of had its day. I can't see this taking a big jump up unless something happens in the shipping world again. Unless the supply chain disruptions and the port problems start piling up like they have again. But this does look like it's kind of weak, and the weakness will continue, unfortunately. Okay, so NS has asked for CRM. It says, I started my position back in 2021, went all the way up and then came back down. Yeah, been there. Averaged down at 204 during previous dip, considered adding more. We should probably be looking at the chart while I'm reading through this, shouldn't we? Okay, so Siren. So he says, started his position back in 2021. Maybe somewhere back in this range here, I guess, or no, sorry, over here. So good, yeah. Oh, and you said, yeah, so the road went all the way up, came all the way back down, averaged down at 204. Okay, I mean, that's, you know, if you held off to average down until 204, that's great. And there's definitely was some strong support there at 204. We should get that drawn in. Yes, okay, so he started averaging down around 215, 220. Okay. Yeah, this that area right there, major support there, right? And it, you know, it is a bit of a zone, but that's about 208. And you know, we can probably carry a level across from here, maybe even there. No, I think this one right here. Let's get that one too, because I think this is kind of major support as well. It's keyed right off of that, right? Yeah. Okay. All right. So, and then, so you average down at around 204. Considering adding more, not sure yet. Would 180 be a good place to add? Maybe. So you can see where I drew this major support, this 183, and you could probably extend that up to probably like 185 or even 190, right? You know, because it's definitely seeing action around the 189 to 190 area here. It should find support at 183. I think if it breaks down below 183, I don't think 180 is going to actually hold it. I think it's going to come down to this level from back over here. You know, probably key off of that, and that's around 165, 166. So I would say that watch what happens at 183. If it starts to bounce off of 183, which is, you know, pretty much down where that low is there, right? What was the low on that one? That was, low on that day was 184.44. Yeah, I think that, you know, this is a good area to work off of. If you turn back up now without making a lower low, because he did come down and basically so far holding this pivot right here. So let's take a closer look at that. Yeah, I mean, it held perfectly on that pivot level, 189.20. But it really came down today. So it looks like, you know, unless Monday's, you know, a really nice green day in the market, this looks like it's coming down to test this lower area. But I kind of think you want to wait for some proof on this before you just jump in. Don't just jump in because it hit 183. You want to actually see that support and then maybe make, you know, come up and make a higher high. And I guess you kind of got to watch out for this zone here on the way back up. Because there's going to be some resistance there, 222 on the way back up. Yeah, right now this is not, I'm not seeing any buy signals. I'm not even really seeing a potential setup other than we have potential support, right? This 183, we expected to support there. We, you know, we kind of expected it might support at 189. You see something going on around, I think you said 180. But no setups yet, no proof, no setups. It needs to play out. And maybe it just needs, like I've been saying, you know, maybe it needs to go sideways for a number of months. I think that's all I've got for you on that one. I see. Actually, you mentioned. I see some more comments from you here. Sorry. Do you see a channel forming all the way back from 2016? I tried joining the bottoms 2016 and 2020. All right, let's do that. Let's go to a weekly to do that. Wow, I see it going back farther than 2016 even. But I think you're seeing, you probably maybe this one and that one, right? And see, we could go back and we could draw it with this one, but I'll do it the way you did, and we'll see how that looks. So you got kind of that and that. Yeah, I mean, this really kind of does want to be extended back to here, right? So that, goes all the way back to 2011. Let's duplicate this so we can get this on top of the channel and see how that looks. That fits fairly well. It actually fits really well from back over here, doesn't it? Yeah, that's a nice channel. Good eye on that channel. And thanks for mentioning that. Okay. That's for fun. I've been talking about MACD a little bit today. And it seems like it kind of works okay. MACD on a weekly, it seems to work okay on this. But man, this is, did work. It would have got you out here. If this crossover here would have got you out of this before it fell apart. These lines, the MACD line and the signal line is still turning down on this. So you definitely want to see this MACD line turn up. And when it does, it almost immediately it goes through the signal line. So that's pretty positive. If this were to turn up in here, this signal line is going to turn up pretty much right away across that. Or sorry, the MACD line is going to cross that signal line. So that would be a reason to start really looking for an entry. If you see that MACD turn up too. And yeah, RSI is just looking normal. All right, let's go back to the daily, see how this channel looks here. Let's see where this channel. So yeah, it's another potential area of support with this trend line that has been here forever, right? So we do have a lot of reasons to believe that we're going to find support in here. Whether it's we find support on Monday and turn up, or whether it has to come down to 183 or to 180, or this trend line, or even down as low as 165. Maybe this capitulates, violates the trend line, comes to 165, finds supports, and then goes back up. This is an important area for sure. But again, like I said, no setups yet. But definitely worth keeping an eye on for sure, because it really shouldn't come down much lower than this. All right, have we got anything else? I think that's it. I think we've worked through the whole list. So unless anybody else has anything you want to look at, any questions, even if you wanted to ask a question about the market.
I joined late. Hi, Kevin.
Hey, you're on your phone.
How'd you know?
I didn't recognize you.
Can I I'm sorry. Can I request a ticker, or is it too late?
No, go for it. I'm gonna report myself.
It's hard to choose, but did you guys do AMD already?
No, we have not done AMD.
Okay, so AMD.
All right.
And if you could do just a 2-minute affirm real quick.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, oh, you're welcome.
So everyone keeps saying AMD's going back to 80, and I'm kind of upset because I'm long-term in AMD, and I've never sold covered calls on it, and I just see the price just dropping and dropping, and I'm like, I just hope it doesn't come down to my average. So,
well,
yeah.
I mean, you can always buy if you want to bail on this thing, you can always buy the covered calls back, right?
No, I've never sold covered calls on it. That's why I'm upset that I've held the equity and never.
Oh, I gotcha. Okay.
This is a long-term hold for me, though.
Yeah. Okay. I misunderstood. I thought you were saying. you've never sold covered calls before. This is the first time.
Yeah, no, I've never sold it, so I'm upset. You know?
Yeah, of course. If you had sold covered calls up here when it started sort of breaking down, maybe this little double top, that would have been beautiful. And would have eased the pain on the way down, even if you had, you wouldn't want to sell them on that breakout, because there's a good chance. I think did you ask me about this 2 weeks ago?
I probably did. I've been watching AMD.
Okay, because it definitely looks like I marked it up 2 weeks ago. I've marked this up before, but it certainly looks like I may have marked this up 2 weeks ago. And I remember thinking about this, this 100 level. It says 99, but basically it's 100, right? And thinking that it really should support there. That should have been strong support. So it's pretty disappointing to see it break down from that. I can see why people are saying it's going to go down to 80. I don't know. I think it may make a pit stop at 85 first. That's a level where it's bounced before. Let's get that 85 in. You'll see, once I put that line on there, you'll see that it's bounced there a number of times. It's 85 there. See how that's acted as, the 85 area has acted as support and resistance, so many times before. In fact, it's interacted with price so many times. I'm going to turn that into a major support. Because I think that 85 is a really important level. I think that holds. I think that's more important than 80 even. I know people have been talking about 80, but I think that 85 is more important than 80. So there, I think, and if you don't support at 90, there's minus support at 90. If 90 doesn't hold, then 85 for sure. And like I've been saying, well, you just came in, so you missed. I've been talking about so many of these stocks we're looking at really needing to build bases and just go sideways probably for months. And this one is no exception. It would be really nice if it turned around and got back up and did that sideways action in here, between 100 and say 110. If it did that for a month, then break to the upside. But now that it's broken down below this 100 and really kind of broken down with authority, right? Now we're kind of looking at saying, hey, well, maybe this needs to, build a base between 85 and 100. But I think that it needs time. It needs time to maybe even come down a little farther and then go sideways for a while. So unfortunately, I think you're looking at months of more pain, unfortunately, in this one. And you said AFRM?
Yeah, if you could real quick. I actually picked up some puts on AFRM for June, I believe they are. The $25 puts.
Cool. So you're long the puts.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Wow, I guess I'm not sure when we were looking at this last, but yeah, look at that cup and handle that it just completely fell apart. Too bad. Might as well get rid of that now. And that gap has been filled. I'm going to leave that there. Okay. Downtrend kind of, still intact, right? This downtrend that was way up here. And it's still sort of obeying it. Yeah, this does not look healthy. But it did, it made a bottom and then it came off that bottom and it did make a higher high than this. And now it's rolled back over and it hasn't made the lower low yet. This could end up being a higher low right here. That's something you want to watch out for. And it probably, if it, you also want to watch out for, and I guess that's a bit of a level there, but I think this one here is more important. There's, this pivot level here. It's really kind of, this pivot level has sort of become minor support. But that's something to watch for if this continues down, like it looks like it's gonna. Watch and see if it finds support in here in this 32-ish area. And then obviously there's the all-time low, but I think your puts are pretty safe on this one. Cool. All right. I think I've been talking so much, I'm starting to feel it in my throat. So I think we're going to call it a day. Let's just go back and see what we got coming up. So where are we? The 14th. Okay, so we got a nice long weekend, which is awesome. And then on Thursday, a week from today, I'm going to be doing another session on options, and we're going to be looking at bull and bear spreads. And I guess we'll probably do like credit and debit spreads on that. That might be an awful lot for one session. We'll see. I'll figure that out. But definitely going to be looking at spreads, which should be interesting for everybody. And then after that, Nick's going to be doing like he's going to be doing a ticker talk, but with fundamentals on Sunday the 24th. And then I've got another ticker talk, of course, 2 weeks from today. And also watch out for a Sunday, because I'm going to be doing a market overview video like I did last Sunday. We'll take a look at what's happened over the last week and what I think might be coming up, and see if I find any good setups when I'm scanning over the weekend. All right, Marvin, yeah, you're welcome. Thanks everybody for coming out, and hope you all enjoyed that. And we will, and hope everybody has, did you get your cool name for the market update or whatever, weekend market update? No, I have not come up with a cool name for that. I'm open to suggestions. If anybody has suggestions for a cool name for the thing I'm doing on Sundays, the market update, love to hear it. Yeah, so anyway, thanks for coming. Happy Easter, happy Passover, I think it is, and Ramadan. Happy whatever holiday it is that you celebrate, or just happy weekend. And we'll see you all again soon. Thanks, everybody.